What's good, Dolphin fans? This is James Smart. I am coming to you this evening. I recently put out some rookie snap numbers, and I wanted to give a little more explanation of how I got to those numbers, and also sort of speak about them more than the character limit that is provided on Twitter. So first and foremost, I put out a bunch of numbers as far as rookie snap counts per team, by position, and etc. So first of all, how did I get that number? Well, if you go to PFF and you have an account, you can go to any team, okay? And we'll get out of being a homer and being at the Dolphins. Let's just go to another team. Let's go to like the Chargers. All right, and if we look at their roster, all right, we can go by draft year. And then basically what I did is I started taking all these snaps from rookies to get a total number. But then I took it by position. So how many snaps at quarterback? How many snaps at wide receiver? How many running back snaps? And offensive line snaps. And for defense, we broke it down by cornerbacks, safety, linebackers, and then defensive line and edge were combined to have a defensive line stat. So that's how the numbers, were gotten in the first place. But now let's sort of take a look at, a deep dive into those numbers. Okay? When we look at rookie snaps, okay, this is offense and defense. You can see that the Dolphins had more than any other team. The next team was the Jaguars, and that's not anything that's surprising. As we entered the season, there was a lot of talk of the Jaguars being the youngest team in the NFL and the Dolphins being the second youngest. And here this shows that out. Okay, but when we start to look at some of these numbers, you can see the Jaguars finished second in rookie snaps. They had a 1-15 record. Okay, we start to look at some of these, the Broncos, and that was a disastrous game, by the way. But the Broncos overall finished 5-11. If we look at the Vikings, 7-9 was a record. So that the fact that the Dolphins could put almost 5,000 rookie snaps, and still come away with a 10-6 record is absolutely phenomenal. And a great job by the staff. All right. When we look at the offensive rookie snaps, you can see that the Dolphins had around 4,900 rookie snaps, but almost 3,600 of them come from the offense. So the Dolphins are not a particularly extremely young defensive team. And when I say that, I'm only comparing to rookies, not necessarily age. When we start to dive into these, offensive rookie snaps, we can start to see a few trends. And this is by total yards. There are about 100 different categories you could categorize offense by: touchdowns, yards, passing, rushing, so far. But for this instance, we're speaking only in the terms of total yards. Okay, the Broncos finished with the second most rookie snaps on the offensive side of the ball, and the Broncos finished 23rd in total yards. The Dolphins finished 22nd, which is not anything to write home about, but being hampered by play calling, playing more conservative, with that many rookies out on the field, it's still a pretty decent job. When we look at the Jags, the Jaguars finished 28th in the NFL in total yards. And once again, I'm trying to stomp my foot here. I get, a lot of comments. I do not claim that any stat is perfect, that any stat tells the entire picture. I just try to provide numbers to give a more sense of direction. Because like with any stat, there's always outliers and things that aren't accounted for. For example, the Panthers, only 138 offensive rookie snaps. However, they finished 21st in the NFL in total yards. So just because you're not playing a bunch of rookies does not immediately mean that you're going to have success. And I am not claiming such. And lastly, we take a look at offensive line rookie snaps. When you can see the numbers here, the Dolphins with 2,318 offensive line rookie snaps, you're going to see that that's where the majority of these snaps come from for the Dolphins. And when you start to break this down, the Giants have the second most rookie snaps. And where we start to compare here, the Giants finished with the second worst sack rate in the NFL at 8.8%. So 8% of their dropbacks resulted in a sack. The Dolphins finished 17th in that category with 5.7% of dropbacks resulting in a sack. And before we get too ahead of ourselves, a lot of the Dolphins had to do with the scheme, the play calling, and some had to do with the quarterback's eyes as well. But when you can compare the fact that Tua and Fitz, when you combine their time to throw together, they finished second in the NFL, which is going to hide a lot of, inefficiencies within the offensive line and also help to keep that sack percentage low. As you can see, though, if these guys will develop, the future is extremely bright. This is a very positive outlook. Wanted to give you guys a heads up on my next project. My next project is I'm going to take a look at offensive linemen who were drafted from 2015 to 2019. I'm going to compare their grades after their rookie season and also their pressures given up. And I'm going to sort of get an average from all those offensive linemen and compare it to what the Fins saw this year as far as grades and pressures. And we can see where they fall in line. But one of the things that I'm most excited about is then I'm going to take those same numbers from the linemen drafted 2015 through 2019, and I'm going to compare that to after their second season. What was their grade and what was their pressures after, season 2. So we can sort of see an average jump from year 1 to year 2. And once we get an average jump, then we can sort of compare that to our guys, and I will do that, compared to our guys to see where we might see ourselves in year 2 of this offensive line. Until next time, fins up.